Liberal government in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. The first thing they did was bring in a policy called Schools of the Future, which was not actually self-governance, it was self-management. So, and it was not an opt-in, every school became a school of the future. And what that meant was self-management, increased responsibility for finance, staffing and facilities.
Okay. What did the students get out of it?
My view, nothing. That made no difference to them at all.
Now let's get on to the things that matter.
Sorry, can I just say, later on in that Liberal government, right at the very end, in the late 90s, they introduced an opt-in to a self-governance model, and that would have created, for those schools, independence. So they would have been a lot like the proposal that you've got for Western Australia. Now, the benefits, well, the benefits were hard to ascertain. One of them was the school council would become much more responsible for things like curriculum and the operation of the school. There were questions about legal responsibility for school council laws. If, for instance, they were the employer of a teacher and they were sued, say, for wrongful dismissal, was it the actual individuals who would have to pay? See, in our current system, school councillors are indemnified by the Education Act. They can't be sued for that sort of thing. Now, what happened then, of course, Steve Bracks was elected, and the first thing they did was get rid of self-governing schools.
So we can still go back to that first question, is what benefit was there for the kids in either?
Look, they talk about community making decisions, local decisions, decisions that are relevant, but for the vast majority of kids, particularly in an era where curriculum is becoming more standardised, I mean we're looking at a national curriculum now, it doesn't really make any difference. The enticement is, for a school, we can select the best teachers for our school. And if that were the case, then yes, you would say that would make a great difference to kids, because the key to improved student outcomes is quality teaching. But of course, what it has meant is that the good schools, good by being, academic, middle class, affluent, the leafy green schools, select the best, and the more disadvantaged schools, the low socioeconomic schools, the sort of schools I worked in, select from the rest. So in fact what happens in the Victorian system is that the poorer schools choose the least worst of the teachers.
So the students don't benefit, the teachers benefit?
Not in any way I can see. I mean, we do have local selection, and we have had that since for 15, 16 years. No, for more like nearly 20 years. And I don't have a problem with local selection. It's better than our previous system, which was on seniority. And if you are in one of the good schools, the thing that you'll notice in Victoria is that the good schools have got bigger and better. Balwyn, Glen Waverley, McKinnon, Williamstown, all of those schools grow and grow and grow and get brilliant results. Results as good as any of the private schools. And the teachers there are happy and the kids there are happy because they're sucking all the good schools out of the good kids rather out of the surrounding schools, and they're attracting the best teachers. And because ours is a funding model based on enrolments, they're getting more money, and so they're looking, bigger and better schools. So what's happened in Victoria is there's a real marginalisation of a whole group of underperforming schools, declining enrolments, poor staffing, lack of funds.
So you've got well and truly now a three-tiered education system.
Absolutely.
You've got the Catholic and the private education system, and then you've got two distinct tiers.
Yep.
And it seems that the losers are the ones that actually need the most help.
Absolutely, yes. It's got to be one. I mean, look, the government's pouring in funding in terms of equity funding. So, if you're a disadvantaged school, low socioeconomic background, Melton was where I was principal in AP for a decade. We got a lot of money extra, which meant that we could employ extra staff. But Melton is a very poor area. It's 40 kilometres from the city. It's a satellite city, a satellite town. So attracting staff, we would actually often advertise a teacher vacancy and get no applicants.
Okay, we seem to be getting a form of it. There hasn't been an Education Amendment Act yet.
No, it's sort of a mixture of self-management and self-governance.
To the teachers that are watching this, you supportive or totally dismissive?
Oh, totally dismissive. It's a disaster. And can I just say that in terms of the staff, what's happened in Victoria is principal workload has gone through the roof, and we spend a lot of time trying to work out how to reduce principal workload because it's extraordinary. And under the self-governing schools model, they were going to have different rates of pay depending on somebody's view of who were the better teachers. Now, what that does, and if that's I notice in the West Australian proposal, if they do that, you'll destroy teamwork in schools. I mean, am I going to sit down with you to design a curriculum program if you're being paid a heap more money than me because somebody thought you were a brilliant teacher and I'm not? No, I'd be sitting here saying, you get paid the money, you do the work.
Goodbye cooperation.
Absolutely. Collegiality. You get jealousy. It's just an appalling system, something that you certainly don't want to have differential rates of pay until you have at least some structure as to how that might happen. You know.
Thank you, Pip.
Pleasure.
And good morning to everybody. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we gather this morning, the Noongar people.